I'm joined here today by the one, the only, of course, you guys know who I'm talking about, number one contender in women's flyweight, Lauren Murphy. Lauren, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good, man. Just back home in Texas, nursing a black eye, celebrating a victory. Yeah, it's a good week to be Lauren Murphy.
I assume the flight can't be too far, right? Arizona, Texas. I have no idea, but it doesn't sound like it's a flight that's too long for you.
It's about like 2.5 hours or 3.5, something like that. Maybe 2.5 hours, I think.
So I assume compared to like the big fight island, right, where it sounds like it took people 3 days, like this was nothing. This was a breeze.
Yeah. It was cool to be back like in an almost kind of semi-normal fight week. Um, Yeah, it was pretty close to normal actually. So that was pretty cool. I mean, fight weeks are kind of exhausting, like the whole camp leading up to it, and then you get to fight week and it's like you just kind of hit the ground running. There's so much to do with the media and the weight cut and like the ceremonial weigh-ins and everything. So usually like we fly out Sunday morning from the fight, and by the time we get home Sunday afternoon, Joe and I are just like at the very end of our fuse. Like we've taken the roller coaster ride, like, yeah, especially when you have like a fight like JoJo and I had, where it was like real high paced, super back and forth. Um, yeah, it was just the whole week has been like an emotional roller coaster. So we get home and we're like, oh, kick it.
So you put out a tweet during fight week, which got a lot of people stirred. You know the media, we love tweets like that. But you said basically the UFC came out with something saying like you can only fist bump, dap each other up at weigh-ins. I guess couldn't touch each other. What kind of happened there?
Yeah, that's what they told us at the real weigh-ins. They were like, they always give you kind of a rundown. And they said at the ceremonial weigh-ins, the athlete coordinator came back and he was like, all right, guys, at the ceremonial weigh-ins, listen, if you do anything besides a fist bump, high five, or hug your opponent, you're going to get fined, suspended, and pulled from the car. And then, he just walked out. But I was like, good, because that, especially after what happened to Drakkar with Jeremy Stevens and stuff, it's like, just save it for the fucking night of the fight. Good God. Nobody, like, weigh-ins are basically for the fans. Like the face-offs are basically for the fans. You know what I mean? Don't fuck it up like for everybody. You know what I mean? You could fuck up your fight and end up not even getting paid by doing some stupid shit at weigh-ins. And it's like, it doesn't even matter because it's not a real fight. You're gonna get separated by security and by the UFC. Like, they're gonna pull you apart. It's not like you're really proving anything. So
Yeah. Plus with the hype thing, it's like if you're already excited for the fight, I don't think an extra shove is really going to get people more hype for Stevens versus Drakkar. Like if you're hype, you're hype. That push isn't going to do anything extra.
yeah, I think it's more badass when fighters who are entering into a big fight can stand right in front of each other and stay calm. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's far more impressive. If somebody starts getting all hyped up and like, I don't know, was trying to shove me or intimidate me at weigh-ins, it just tells me like something's in their head, you know?
Exactly. So listen, with you being in Arizona though, was the crowd on your side for this fight? Like there was a crowd. I feel like they should have been on your side. How was the crowd experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, JoJo's a real popular fighter. She has a lot of fans, she like I think she has like 200,000 Instagram followers, something like that. Like she's a very popular fighter, So I knew that she would get a pretty big pop from the crowd. But yeah, Phoenix actually really loved me. A lot of them remember me training there for so long. A lot of people still consider me local to Phoenix, even though we moved to Texas a year and a half ago. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then when I said it was good to be back in Phoenix in my post fight interview, they all started cheering, and it's just nice to have some love in the crowd. Yeah, I think the Phoenix crowd definitely appreciated me a lot.
Did you feel like going into this fight there was a lot of talk? It felt like, it wasn't so much about the fight, right? You two was kind of what it represented, right? It was like I saw you have talk about Valentina a lot of times during the week and stuff. Do you feel like, there wasn't so much a focus on the fight, rather what the fight meant?
Maybe a little bit, but I feel like that's how the media rolls. Like y'all are always trying to distract us and make headlines and bring up stuff where it doesn't need to be brought up. Like I feel like that's like what the media kind of does, and it is your jobs to like get clicks and find a new storyline and create stories around these fights. And so the story around this fight was that it was a number one contender fight. You know, I said in the pre-fight conferences that I thought everything's going to depend on our performances, and I think we both had really good performances. Actually, I think JoJo really showed a lot of skill and a lot of heart, and I think I did too. And I'm really proud that it was such an exciting fight and that it was back and forth. Like, that's everything you want, you know. I'm really happy that I got to show how dominant I can be on the ground and how nasty my top game really is, you know. Obviously, like, I wanted to finish in the second, but it's like JoJo's no pushover. She's not just going to let people, you know, run her over. So I was actually really happy with how the fight went. And yeah, we're just going to start getting ready to go face Valentina because I believe that is what's next for me.
Did you feel a big strength advantage in this fight? Like I had somebody, I was watching it out in public and someone says to me like, "Look at the difference in their arm." They're like, "Lauren Murphy is so much bigger." And I was like, "Yeah, she's technically the strongest fighter in the division." Did you feel that out there in this fight?
100%, 100%. It felt like taking down a child. Really. And I mean, I work hard, you know, I wrestle a lot in my camps, and we usually do have like a specific takedowns that we'll be looking for in fights for certain reasons. And um yeah, that takedown just felt super easy to me. I knew that I knew going into the third, I was like, man, she's gonna be really moving her feet. Like, she's not gonna just stand in front of me and let me get my hands on her again. Like, um, yeah, there was definitely a big strength disparity. I am one of the biggest flyweights in the division, and I think I am the strongest. And it felt good to be able to show that off a little bit too.
So what does that do for you mentally? Like you put your hands on someone, you can feel that strength advantage. I assume like there's got to be an extra added layer of confidence because we know it's very complex out there with a lot of emotions, but just that alone, it's got to add like a little extra boost for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very physical. I'm super tough. It's like fighting a tank. Like, if you fight me, you're fighting a tank, you know, like, I'm gonna stay in your face. Like, I can take a ton of damage. I'm super durable, and it's hard to hurt me. But that strength disparity is always gonna be on my side. And so that really comes into play in things like the clinch. Like, you saw me like breaking JoJo's posture down a lot in the clinch, landing some knees to her head from the clinch, which is not easy to do, you know. But yeah, also like just in the takedown aspect of it, yeah, I'm always going to have that strength disparity on my side, and it does give me a lot of confidence. I like that. When I was at bantamweight, I fought a couple girls that, like, Liz Carmouche felt stronger than me, and I didn't like that. You know, it makes her a difficult fight.
And so now we know the talk going into the fight was Valentina. Fight's over now. How do you feel about your performance? Like, was this like the right fight to get you into that title fight next?
Sorry, my camera went out. Yeah, this is definitely the right fight to get me into that title fight. Like, I showed exactly how dominant I can be on the ground. I showed that, you know, I'm tough in the stand-up aspect of it, that I can JoJo's a good striker. She's been doing Muay Thai since she was like 13 years old or something like that. So she's been doing Muay Thai for like 20 years. And I outlanded her with the much harder, more powerful shots in the first round. I dominated her in the second round. I think that should have been a 10-8 round for sure. And then in the third, as I got a little more tired and started to fade, she really did a good job of adjusting and keeping me at range. But, you know, I think I showed everything that I needed to show in this fight.
So has anyone kind of given you like the green light, like yes, that fight's next, or are we just all kind of assuming like because it makes sense, this is what's gonna be next for you?
Nobody has said anything like that, but like, we haven't even talked about it yet. It's like, get the fight over with, go celebrate a good victory. Or I think everybody went home this week and is like just trying to unpack, you know, their literal and figurative baggage and like rest a little bit. And then, you know, we're going to talk about it as a team coming up in the next week or two. But right now we're just trying to enjoy this victory. We all worked really, really hard for it. And we put a lot, like, my whole team put a lot into this. And so to come home with a W, it's like, yeah, we're just going to chill for a week and enjoy it, really.
And so the big thing with you is we see like you always I don't know why you always bring strong opinions from the fans. I feel like fans it's always like every time everything you do, people have to have strong opinions about it. What does your social media look like after this fight? 'Cause I know it's like I'm not even you, and I'm seeing a lot of this stuff. So what's it kind of look like for you if you've checked any of that stuff at all?
Yeah, I see a little bit of it. I don't get the full blast of it, but like, I see a little bit of it, and it's like, there's a lot of people out there. Most people that I've seen are like, yeah, she deserves the title shot for sure. Like, 5 in a row in the division, that's crazy. No, nobody else has done that, you know. I see some people that are like, oh, I thought JoJo won, but it's like,
Yeah.
cares? Like, who cares what they think? Because it's like it'll be their name and then a Scottish flag like next to their avatar or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I thought JoJo won." Like, well, she didn't. It's my job to convince the judges, not you. And if you're upset about it, maybe you should have a little talk with Joanne. Don't you know what I mean? Like, why don't you write to her and tell her what she could do differently? I guess. No, don't do that. I hate it when
Yeah, I'm sure she would appreciate that very much, getting the online code. We know fighters love that so much, so I'm sure she'd
yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, so yeah, it's a mix of I think almost everybody agrees that I deserve a title shot at this point. Some people are gonna bitch and moan about whatever they're gonna bitch and moan about, but there's like a lot of MMA fans, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. I think it's just shitter.com. People get on there and all they want to do is spew their bullshit opinions out into the world, whether or not it's true or makes any sense. And it's kind of just a dumping ground for negativity. So yeah, but it's kind of the same as ever. Like, I think more and more fans are getting on board with Lauren Murphy. I think they're really taking notice that, like, not only do I have a lot of skills, but I have heart and toughness to match, and that's not a quality you find in all the fighters in the female divisions. Not even in all the male divisions. But I think I'm one of the toughest women on the roster. I think I'm one of the most well-rounded. I think I'm dangerous. I think I showed exactly how dominant I can be on the ground. I think I showed how strong I am, and that I can hang with anybody anywhere. I could hang with JoJo in the clinch. I could hang with her at distance striking. I could definitely hang with her on the ground. So yeah, that's what my social media looks like. It's just a mix of all of that.
And so we know for you, we talk about that strength advantage because it is a factor. And I think you said at the PI, right? They measured you, you were like the strongest in the division. So when you look at Valentina, like, is that something that you kind of count on, that strength thing, or are you sort of looking at how that sizes up with her? Is that like a factor for you at all going into that, potential fight?
No, we kind of assume like, okay, I'm going to be stronger than anybody I fight, probably. I think that's just something we hold in the back of our heads, but strength isn't everything. It's for sure not everything. And so, when I look at the matchup with Valentina, it's like we're going to have to get together as a team and talk about like what techniques we're going to want to implement in that fight, what exactly she does very well that we're going to try to avoid, and yeah, come up with a game plan from there with all of us together.
Does it make it potentially more exciting because of the big storyline, right? She's the undefeated champion, at least at flyweight. Everybody's seeing her as this dominant, nobody can beat her and stuff like that. I assume for you, like that's an extra challenge, but it's got to add a little spice to it.
Yeah, but that's the way it should be for a champion. Like, people should talk about the champion like that. Like, imagine having a champion where everybody's like, no, they suck. Like, that wouldn't be a champion that I want to face anyway. I'm excited to face the best in the world, and I'm very, very proud to know that I earned my spot across from her with good old-fashioned hard work. Like, nobody can deny how far I've come, how much better I've gotten, what I've put on the line for this, and I've earned a title shot for sure. And I'm just really proud that I can, I'll be able to look my son in the eye and say I worked so hard that, I was able to share the octagon with the very, very best in the world, very dominant champion, outstanding title contenders. You know what I mean? Some of the best women in the world I've gotten to share the octagon with, and I've beat a lot of them. So I don't feel like it's like extra pressure. I feel like that's the appropriate amount of pressure you should feel going into a fight.
So one last question for normally I ask who's next, but I think it's pretty obvious who's next in this one. But realistically, when do you think we're going to see you fight again?
Hopefully it won't be too long, because it's important to get back in there and maintain some kind of like comfortability in the octagon. I would hope it would be like September or October. What is it? What month are we in? June. So if we fight in September, that would be like 12 weeks maybe from the date that they like set the fight, which would be good. Yeah, so late September, something like that.
All right, there we go. We look forward to it. I know it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a very fun fight when it does happen. Thank you so much for the time, Lauren. I really appreciate it, and congratulations again on the victory.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on, Lucas. Appreciate it.